All right, what's up, guys? Today I have a extraordinarily special guest that I've known for somewhere close to 2 decades, maybe a decade and a half, maybe a little bit longer, something along those lines. And I asked my buddy Brian to come on the show because he's doing some really wildly good things in life right now. And the key is he's taken control of his life to be able to live an excellent life. And he's doing some really big things. So I asked him to come on the show. I asked him to educate everybody about how he's done what he's done, where he was before he's done what he's done, and where he's going. We're really going to focus in on his journey here. But just to give you guys the perspective of where I met Brian, I met Brian somewhere around probably 2007, I'd say. We were both in the same company in the United States Army, Charlie Company, 1st the 502nd of the 101st Airborne. We were in the same platoon, if I remember correctly, not the same squad, but definitely the same platoon. I think I was a sergeant when I met you, and I think you were a private. Regardless of me and what my rank was and what your rank was, we clicked. And the cool part is here we are a decade and a half later, something along those lines, 2 decades later, and you're going to share your experience of life, where you came from, what you've done, and where you're going. Thank you for your time today, Brian. Thank you for giving us this knowledge you're about to deliver. So I just wanted to say I appreciate you coming on the show, bro.
No, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you again. Yeah, so I met you in 2007 in Baghdad. Well,
Is
right
that
before that.
is that when it was?
Yeah, we were in the same platoon and just different squads, and so we were on a small base with just like 150 of us or 130 in the whole city of Baghdad to lock it down. So it's fun times.
We were in this section of Baghdad called Kadamia, and it had this huge fucking mosque, right? And if I remember correctly, the Shia had that area of the city, and the minority was the Sunni. Was that the way it was?
Shia was the majority, and the Sunni lived right outside our cop in the rich neighborhood.
That we had to protect.
Yeah, that we had to protect. And they would
Yeah.
always get attacked by the Shiites.
Yeah, man. So I met you. So did I meet you before we went on that tour?
Like probably rub shoulders, but in the extent of like talking, no, it was, well, yeah, it was probably like you yelling at me to do something. And since privates at that time had no face, it was just like, go there, do that, and shut the hell up while you do it.
Do some push-ups when you get there.
Yeah,
Can
do
you
push-ups.
you've recently just gotten out of the Army. Can you even yell at anyone anymore?
No, no, oh, no, 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 no. I was I was out at Atterbury, and we were the liaison for National Guard, like certify them to deploy overseas. And technically, the active duty military has no authority over National Guard, so we can't yell at them, can't do anything with, like, we can guide them, talk to them, but that's where we were at that time. And then all your coworkers are the same rank or higher, so there's not really yelling unless everyone's in a chill environment where everyone worked together pretty well.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, back in the late 2000s, you could yell at people. People would also try and kill you while you were
Yeah.
at war. And I know you went to Afghanistan for your second tour. My second tour was your first tour when we met, and we were in the same platoon. And the interesting part about it is recently, within the past year, you've actually told me some stories that you remember of me instructing and teaching from that
Yeah.
tour, which I don't remember. Can you remind me what drew you to me back then?
So when I first met you, it was you were direct, and your leadership style was just like it was fierce. Like, you didn't want to mess with this guy because he will destroy you and your world. Like, when you first go in the military, like in that day, there was I guess you call it hazing, or they call it hazing, but it's initiation to like a new group of people that if they don't trust you, and this is the way you learn their trust. So you would do mass majority of smoking, telling people do push-ups and like just for hours. And you were the only one I remember that would actually print out questions on a piece of paper and bring it to everybody. Like I wasn't even in your squad. You bring it to us, and you're like, "Hey, learn the questions." I still have the paper. I found it. I wish I had it, but it's in my moving stuff since I'm in moving and currently. But you're like, remember this, and that's it. So you wouldn't say anything else. A week later, you would come up. What are the questions? And ask them down the list. Whoever didn't get it would just get destroyed. You send one of your dogs on us, and just and then you go down and ask other people questions. But with you, it was like it was clear and direct that, hey, if you did this correctly, you're not going to get destroyed. So that was a plus. And I was like, wow, I kind of like the style of common sense, where if you know what you're doing, then you don't have to get the other end of the stick.
Oh yeah, that's called expectations and
Yeah,
clearly communicating expectations. The interesting part about that communication style is it's extraordinarily fundamental in life, let alone in leadership. However, I see very little of it in society, let alone in leadership these days. One of the strong suits that I like to think of my leadership style is my communication. And I've learned greatly since that era of my leadership how to communicate better. And just for instance, today, while I was in my company meeting, I kept telling myself, patience, Chris, patience, Chris, patience, Chris, patience, Chris, as the leader, right? Because just because I understand something and can put out expectations and have good communication does not mean, as a civilian running a company, that your people understand what you're saying and understand the communication. So no matter how fast my mind works, which seems to be pretty fucking fast these days, probably because I sleep 8 hours and exercise and have a good diet and am healthy. My mind is working really well. But the point that I'm getting at is my leadership started then when I met you as a sergeant in the Army. And here we are almost 2 decades later, and it's the same principles. I'm just fine tuning it. And the interesting part about it is, and before we get into your journey, my leadership style now has come into your life and has helped you along what I think to be greatly. But before we talk about your journey, let's quickly talk about the day that let's foreshadow a little bit, okay? My second tour in Iraq in 2007, listen, it was fucking quiet. No one was trying to kill me. No one was really trying to saw our fucking heads off. Every
first
day.
6 months.
Yeah, first 6 months. Every day we were like walking money downtown, like tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars to local shop owners. We were going into people's houses and having dinner with them, like taking our body armor off. Like it was completely different from my first tour. And then one day, Brian was out on patrol. I woke up in the morning. I don't remember what time it was, or maybe it was the afternoon. You don't really know. You don't really sleep normal hours when you're in combat. I wake up and I hear machine guns, which I hadn't heard that entire tour. And there was machine guns rocking from our, basically our, now what's the word here, Ryan? Guard towers. Our machine guns were rocking from our guard towers, like large machine guns, like 30-pound, 35-pound, 240 Bravo machine guns rocking, which we didn't, that didn't happen that tour. And I turned on my radio and I found out our base was getting attacked by like 20 dudes or something like that. So I had, right. So I had maybe more. I don't remember. So
Yeah, no, it was a lot everywhere. It was a mass attack across all of Baghdad. They were hitting every single U.S. troop or convoy that was out there at the time.
Brian was out. Brian was out on patrol. And I'm gonna turn.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. Brian was on a patrol, and I'm gonna bring you in on this here in a second. I just want to kind of paint the picture of what I did. So I got up. I was in a pair of shorts and flip flops, no shirt, nothing. I think I had a PT belt on, pair of shorts, flip flops, and I heard us getting attacked. I heard AKs getting racked off. There was mortars coming in. So I grabbed a pair of sunglasses, and I grabbed my radio and my M14. So I carried two weapons that tour. I carried a M4 with a 203 grenade launcher and the long rifle for our squad, the M14. So I grabbed a whole bunch of magazines and full of ammo, my shades, my radio, and I went up to the guard tower, which wasn't my platoon, and they were in a straight gun battle. It was just a straight gunfight. And I was like, ooh, I haven't been in one of these in a while. And what I was looking at was a date field, like date trees with basically a field of large trees that grow dates. And the dudes with body armor were hiding behind the trees and popping out and shooting at the wall. And I put my M14 over the guard tower and just started playing. Like, they would pop out, I would shoot at them. They would either go back behind the tree or hit the ground. And we played that game for a while until Brian's squad got called in from patrol. What was going on with you at that point?
Yeah, we were at a meeting with the company commander, and he was inside delegating whatever they're doing over there. And I was a driver. So I stepped out of the vehicle, and like I'm supposed to be in there buttoned up, but I step out, I'm walking around, I'm like, screw this, I need to get out. And I carry a 249, a squad automatic machine gun.
Yeah.
And, so I picked that up, I'm walking around, like I'm not too far, so I can jump back in. All of a sudden, bullets just start raining down on me, like my left and right. And I look up, and there's like three guys on a roof, and all I see is their muzzle flash. They're just shooting down at us.
Was that the first time you got shot at?
That was the first time I ever got shot at.
Yeah.
So my instinct is like, let me go this way, cover, or shoot back. Well, it wasn't even shoot back. It was just look to the left, and just bullets are going down my left side. I go to the right, bullets are going down my right side. So I take a knee, and this whole process is time slows down.
Mm-hmm.
So like it probably was like 2 seconds.
5 seconds stops. Yeah.
Yeah. Slow down to 30 seconds. Like I was like, I didn't even charge my my saw because it was in the driver's seat. So I charged it and then start firing at these guys on the roof. The guys on the roof no longer fired. And then Brown was next to me. He started blasting, and then we got attacked from all angles. Everybody. Yeah, we're getting shot at, and just the shock on people's face, because this is 6 months in, like you said, and no one was expecting anything. So there's just that initial, like, you look at someone's face and they get the what do I do, or holy crap. You see people, different soldiers react differently. Yeah, that's what happened. We were just getting blasted, and I was out there, we're having a firefight, and then the company commander comes out. He looks at me, I look at him, and I'm like, by then I kind of moved behind a Humvee to take cover. And while I'm looking at him, he just stares at me, and then he runs past me, does like a combat roll, hops in the vehicle, and I'm like, I'm stunned. I'm like, well, I'm not standing out here. So I walk over to my vehicle, get in. And then that's when we hear you guys are getting attacked over there at the cop. So we're like, we need to go back and see what's going on over there. But the mentality of everyone was, there was no talking. Everyone just like straight focus. They were like finally doing their job. So we got back, everybody was like reloading their ammo, fixing their weapons, and they were just like ready to go out, and we're just machines for like 72 hours. Well, no, it was months after that, because we started, that's when we started causing havoc on Baghdad. We like searched every single door, shut down the entire city. It was complete madness. Forgot what it was. Was it March Madness or?
Yeah, I think it was March Madness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember the first time I got shot at. It was the same thing. You know what getting shot at is like, it's like if someone took the sound of getting shot at is what I'm talking about. If
Oh,
someone
yeah.
took 2x4s and stood behind you and clapped them next to your ears, whack, that's what it sounds like when you get shot at. But 5 to 10 to 20, maybe more rounds landing right next to you the entire time. So it's like clap, 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 clap. And you're like, whoa, what in the fuck is going on right now? But yeah, so that battle ended pretty quick. I think someone got shot in their ass that day, one of our guys. But
Yeah.
other than that, everybody was pretty good. And
Surprisingly, yeah, that was it. The guy
yeah,
got shot in the ass, and then everybody else got a pretty clean bill of health that day.
yeah,
Thankfully.
yeah. So then after that tour, I ended up getting out of the army. I got started back in college. That was like 2008, I believe. And Brian, you went to Afghanistan. I know that tour was pretty dicey. I've heard all about it. A bunch of dudes got killed that tour from the 101st, if I recall. And long story short, to fast forward, you did 2 tours, correct?
2, yeah, 1
Yep.
Iraq and 2 to Afghanistan.
2 to Afghanistan?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so you did 3 tours.
Yeah, 3 tours in total.
Wow. So you did 3 tours. I did 2 tours. And all of a sudden, so many years passed, 15 years passed or something along those lines. And I want to say it was last year. I think it was 2021. You reached out to me, right? All of a sudden,
right.
all of a sudden you're in my DMs, and I'm going to let you tell the story, but all of a sudden you're in my DMs and you're like, hey man, I really need some help. And I went to war with you. So I was going to like, doesn't matter what I was doing. I'm going to be like, yeah, what can I do for you, dude? And it's been over a year, if I remember correctly. And you and I have worked together pretty closely over that year. And you've completely changed your life. And I really want you to explain, if you're all right with it, why you reached out to me on that day, maybe what you were thinking about prior to reaching out to me. Maybe you were scared or you didn't want to ask for help or whatever. Where were you in life at that point? Right. And then let's talk about the journey over the year. But before we talk about the journey over the year, what was going on with Brian last year when you reached out to me?
Okay, so last year I was in Indiana, and this was right after COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, the government was just like, "Stay home, don't do anything, just stay home. We'll tell you when to come back to work." And it was a time where I actually had to reflect on myself. Like there was nothing open, no stores, no nothing. It was just you were kind of stuck with who you were, and it was the first time where I wasn't uh, like preoccupied with something else, like work or something, just ignoring myself completely, which I've done. And I realized I was emotionally detached. Like I couldn't connect to people. There was something like I was emotionally dead, pretty much. There was no connect, no love for anybody. Like something would happen, and I couldn't connect to anyone on an emotional level, no matter what. And I saw this, and I was like, something's wrong. I'm going out, and I can't feel anything. I can be with loved ones in a room right in front of me, and I'm completely alone, and I want to understand why. And I couldn't sleep. Like panic attacks, I guess. Sleep was unheard of. I had to like take Tylenol PM, some kind of medication, alcohol to like pass out just to go to sleep for a few hours, and I would still wake up uh, erratic times. The way I talked to myself and felt was just pretty horrible. Like it was, everything was negative. There was nothing good. It's like, why did I do this? How come this? My memory was shot. Like I couldn't think of the next day, let alone I would walk into another room and couldn't remember what the hell I was doing in that room. Like it was bad. And I remember walking around my house and looking around, and this is by 2001. I mean, like I had knee surgery also, and I was in a wheelchair for like 3 months, and I
I
couldn't
remember
move.
that.
Yeah, and like this was before, so like to use the bathroom, it took me like 45 minutes to get on the toilet. And that's like stage one from doing whatever to get to the shower back out. This is like hour process. So 3 months of this, I'm losing my mind. Like, then, yeah, after my leg healed and all that kind of moved forward, I was sitting there. I was like, it was one day, I was just sitting there or walking around my house. I was looking out the back door. I looked at the time, it was 12 o'clock. And I was like, all right, like, let me walk around. I started doing stuff. It felt like hours. And then I looked out the door again, looked over. I was like, it was 12:05. Time for me had like literally come to a stop. And if that's the only way I feel I can explain it, like it, it felt like hours went by, but only 5 minutes did. It was crazy. And just nothing was panning out. Everything was like, I was reactive. I wasn't preventive of anything in life. Like, so if someone was, Karens were by the handful in the world. Like, they were around me. I saw them no matter what. People were yelling at me. People, like, negative things were happening. I needed help. And that's when I started calling people, and I called you first, or messaged you first. And I said something about your shoes, because I didn't know like if you would even respond or something. And you were like, dude, those shoes are nice. And I was like, just trying to nip at you to see if you would react and say something. And you did. And you were like one of the first people I contacted, and you messaged me, and I talked to you on the phone right after that.
Did you think I was too big to respond? Like, too, like,
So after calling you, I kind of like, I was like, I need help. I started contacting everybody. And like you watch Facebook and Instagram, you see people like flashing like, oh man, I'm so successful. I got all this crazy stuff. It's amazing. I contact those people. I'm like, dude, help me. Like, help me. And everyone would be like, oh, no, that's not real. I really don't. Like, you would, it's like you're accounting them for like, hey, I saw this. What's up with this? I need your help. And they're like, oh no, that's like, it was make believe. It was pretty much, I was holding them accountable. And
it's a rental.
Yeah, their life was a facade.
Yeah.
And then when I started asking questions and poking at them, and it wasn't just to be insulting, it was like, hey man, I need help. And they literally ran for the hills. And I was like, oh crap. And everybody, the only one that could productively like come with an answer was you. And it was my first response of talking about your shoes.
Do you remember what shoes they were?
I think it was like the green suede. No, it was like you're wearing green suede shoes, was it? And then
I wear Todd's. I wear Todd's. They're called drivers. They're $400 or $500 a piece. And long story short, I ask because I don't. On social media, I put up a lot of wins, but I also put up all my losses. Yeah. And I think that's the separation between, a true human and educator and someone that just wants a bunch of likes and that's addicted to dopamine from likes and comments. And the interesting part about it is most people that consume content don't realize they're getting lied to. A lot of these, and I know these people, these large influencers, they rent those cars, they Airbnb those houses, they rent those jets. Like, that shit's not true. And some of us, like, you get to a point where, listen, I don't have a jet. I don't live in a multi-million-dollar home. I don't. But can I? Yeah, I couldn't own a jet, but I could fly private all the time if I really wanted to. But that's not important to me. But every now and again, I'll do a little sneak peek into my life of some of the fancy shit that I have or some things that I've done, not to brag, but it's like, hey, this is just the way I live. And it wasn't that way. 15 years before that, motherfuckers are trying to saw my head off. Like, for real, that's the difference, right? And it's funny that you commented on my shoes because I love my drivers. People don't realize how high end those drivers are because they don't have a Gucci strip slapped over them. And I have Gucci loafers, a couple of pairs of them, but the Todds are my favorite. But the point is, you just don't realize how high end they are. Anyways, and it's not about high end stuff. It's about you reaching out for help and where you were at in life. Did you happen to were you diagnosed with PTSD or TBI or either?
Well, yeah, the PTSD, and they couldn't label it TBI because when I was blown up a bunch, but our mentality was if you report it, then you
Yeah.
can't go back out for 24 or 48 hours. They tested me after the fact, not during, and they were like, "Yeah, you had some trauma and stuff of that nature, and yeah, I got diagnosed with PTSD also, so and amongst other things of being blown up and just broken."
Okay. So, all right. So, Brian, so you're in this dark stage in life. You've been diagnosed with PTSD. The world shut down. We all know it was a joke at this point. Some of us have been saying it for 2.5 years. Fortunately, everybody understands it now. You're in this really tough place. You decide to reach out to some people. You reach out to me because you've seen what I've done in life and where I'm going, and I reach out to you. And where did we go from there? Did you tell me to call your mom? Was that what it was?
So the mindset I had was it it was scarce about everything. Like you were like, "Hey, I can help you, and I do have this actually," and it was a like coincidence have it. I have this program or course I'm just doing right now, and
Was it
I
Dominate Your
want you.
Day?
Yeah, dominate your day.
Yeah,
And
the second run of it.
yeah, but yeah, so the best one because you had the experience of the first one, and then that was the last one you ran. So in live, so and you were like, "All right, this is it," and I was like, and all I could think is like, "Man, this is he's gonna help me," and you know what I mean, just like just guarded and not trusting anything, and I didn't know how to like commit. So you're like, "All right," I think the price was somewhere around like $1,000 to start the course.
11-11.
Yeah, 11-11, and my mindset was man, coaches, that's dumb. Who needs coaches? Who needs like who needs consulting? Who needs this crap? It's all garbage. I don't know. And then but I literally hit rock bottom mentally, and I was like I have to commit no matter what. So I kind of sidestepped and I was like, "Hey mom, you want my Christmas present? You want to buy me a coaching lesson from Chris?" So because I was scared, I didn't want to commit, and that was like my cheat to commit, have like kind of pawn off, and so my mom, yeah. So I had like my mom called you, or you called my mom, and she was like, "I don't know what you guys talked about, but yeah, that's how I joined your
Well,
course.
your
Thanks
mom had
to you and
questions.
my mom."
Your mom had questions, and she's military, right? She was a sergeant major.
Yeah, she retired as a sergeant major.
So I treated her as such, and I was like, "Listen, sergeant major, okay, I've done a whole bunch of shit, and I've healed myself, and now I'm teaching people how to heal and do a whole bunch of cool shit in life. This is what I've done." Bop, 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 bop. She's like, "Say no more. I'll send the money over." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And I don't flex. I don't flex on the gram. I don't flex in Facebook. I'm actually a really fucking humble dude, right? And with my resume, if you will, or my credential list, it it's extravagant, but I don't talk about it unless this situation arises where this mother is concerned for her son who is a little bit older than me and is in a really tough place. And I was like, yeah, I cured my PTSD and my traumatic brain injury, and this is how I've done it, and this is what I've done since. And she was like, got it, all right. So took care of mom, right? Mom is successful, so on and so forth. You go in to Dominate Your Day, my live coaching course. So from that point, Dominate Your Day, start there,
Okay.
to now, you have done many things, many things. What have you done?
Yes. Okay. It's
What did
yeah.
you learn? What did you learn? And what have you done?
Okay. So when you're building an entire new foundation of your core being of who you are as a person, no one ever says like they need that this transformation. They have excuses in their head that says, I'm good. I don't need to, like, I can work it out, but it really doesn't solve the problem. And I was in a so your course set up the foundation of how to be successful. And it's easily laid out where you can do it, but not everybody's going to dive into it because, like I said previous, they do not know, do I really need this core work? I don't need to improve. You know what I mean? They're kind of ego kicks in and says, well, I could do this. I could figure it out. But I jumped in 100% and it laid out so it didn't pick up. It doesn't pick up right away. You have to dive into it and implement it on a daily basis until it slowly consumes and becomes part of your life. And that's that first, that opened the door to now. And from that, like, months and months, I was like, it was hard. It's to change the foundation of who you are and how you think on a daily basis is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, from a firefight to anything else. Like, it's totally, it changes your complete core. And that's what Dominate Your Day did. And yeah, it just, the questions, I don't know, it opens a door to lay the framework of uh, pushing it forward, exceeding to the next level. And that's what happened with Dominate Your Day. And do you want me to get any specifics on that?
Yeah,
Or
man, fucking, you're doing great. Yeah, keep it
Okay.
rolling. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, the first one was, I think, the hardest thing for me, and which I kind of set out already, is accept responsibility of my actions and accountability of myself.
Oh, you
I didn't.
remember the chapters.
Yeah, because I implemented it, and it's my framework of mine now, and just understanding that issue is probably the biggest issue I had with myself. I was like, holy shit, man, like, there is something wrong with me. Like, I need to.
Extreme ownership.
Yes, and
Extreme ownership.
that's the only. Yeah, not, you can't half-ass it. It has to be 100%, and that's the only way. And you're like, and when you actually do, there's this big wow moment, and you're like, oh crap, like, wow. And learning how to be wrong was that's a big one too. And learning how to be wrong, like, honestly, I never grew up learning how to be like, hey, if you're wrong, you just screw it, go attack it, go do it again until you get it right. Like, I never properly was taught how to do stuff wrong, or even, for that fact, how to be successful. If you win, like, what do you do? Like, as I didn't know the progress that could be accomplished by just admitting or learning how to be wrong. It's the framework of,
Isn't it freeing?
it's there's different stages of it. It's amazing. It's more than freeing. It's like, you understand that, but then when you start tapping on it, it opens up to another thing. And it's not that you're wrong. It's just the way that you framed it to yourself,
Yeah.
and how you are, and how you're doing it. And then you realize, like, oh my God, you're not wrong. You're actually just opened up 50 avenues of approach that you can attack this issue. And it's just telling you, hey, you did this. Now, how the hell are we going to attack it? And it's going to be better than next time. And it's just, the reframing of mind was the hardest part. So when you,
Well, it's getting rid of your programming. It's getting rid of your subconscious programming. Not even getting rid of it. It's rewriting the subconscious programming to, I'm not wrong. Actually, this is great. I made a mistake. Awesome. What did I learn today? Right? When we reprogram our mindset of, rather than, oh, being wrong, oh my God, I'm never wrong. Oh, bah. Okay, you're weak. Anyone that thinks that they're never wrong or can't admit a mistake is actually weak, because being wrong is an amazing, strong, powerful thing, because there's lessons.
Yeah, your vulnerability opens up doors to your entire strength, and it's freeing. And it's been a process. Just opens up more and more and more. And it's like, in school or some of that nature, I used to learn something. I didn't get it the first time. So I'm like, oh man, I'm a failure. Like, I can't learn quick. I'm not smart.
Yes.
Like, I didn't get blessed with the gift. And then fast forward to now, I read something. It's oh crap, it's the first time I'm seeing this. It's okay. Let me just look at it. I'm probably gonna get it all wrong. Who cares? It's the first time I ever laid eyes on this. And then for like now, I learned like it's amazing. It's I see it again. I'm like, oh yeah, that's that. It's it has unlocked that dominate your day. That's where we're at now in the conversation is unlocked where it opened up my mind where there was a stage where my memory came back. Like my memory opened up and there was like I would remember everything. So I
Mhm.
spent like and when I was doing that, I was meditating too. And my meditation lasted probably about 5 seconds to begin with. So I go on like long walks and it's dragged out like it was dragging. It was hard. I couldn't meditate. Like it was gone. I couldn't dream. Memory was shot like to hell. And then all of a sudden my memory started coming back. And and that's after the fact of like putting words or understanding what's going on with myself. And that's the responsibility and the wrong. And that kind of opened the door to my memory, remembering everything. And then meditating kind of opened up and cleared everything out. And then there was a point where I started remembering stuff from like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I spent about 2 to 3 months in memory and perceiving my past, how it reflected in my future. I mean, my present to my future. So my entire perception of my world was changed because of that. I would, and then I went through it like, oh man, this happened, and I would laugh. I would sit there and just like meditate, clear my mind, think about like it wouldn't even think; it would just come. The memory would just come. Like I started
Yeah.
doing something, and I had to go through the process, and it was crazy because I blocked out all my emotion from, uh, most likely from war. Just you're just
Suppression of
consumed.
emotion, suppression of emotion. That's how we're taught in the military. It's a
Yeah,
reframe. It's a reframe of our programming when you go into boot camp. It's suppress your emotion. If that wasn't the way you were taught growing up, which was the way I was taught growing up, so it just reinforced it. So all right, so you reach out to me, you start with Dominate Your Day, my signature course, which is also a book now, which I know you've read. And you also were part of a really special edition of that book where all of my students who went through the course wrote and signed a single edition for me, which I will have framed one day. Um, you've taken in all of my content. You've worked with me one-on-one. You've been in every group course. You've absorbed all of this content over the course of a year while you were still in the Army, mind you, as you were transitioning out. So over this journey, right? Facing yourself, understanding you're wrong, realizing things could be done differently. What are some of the highlights that have happened over this year plus since taking the step and reaching out to me?
What I personally, and not even like physical material in this world, is the love and patience I have
You
and
love
found.
yourself again?
Oh man, yes.
Yeah.
I was lost. I didn't even realize it was lost. It
Mhm.
was 100% lost. And
That's big, dude.
and the people that I've met after the fact is insane. It's life changing. It's just it that and it that in itself is worth everything. And it's a beautiful transition from knowing not who I am to realizing that I'm actually a very good person and that I love and want to take care of people and help any way I can. And that in itself was life changing. Other than that, I can see it, what I want in life, how I want to do it, and I can perceive every single step on how to do it perfectly without error. And if there is error, that's a blessing because it's just there's 100 million ways to approach any situation. So when I was transitioning out of the army, I didn't know what to do. While I was still in the army, I moved. I got in my car, loaded my 200 pound or 100 pound dogs, and drove to Utah without a house, without a job, without anything. I wasn't receiving anything. I just made a plan and I executed, put my back to the wall, and yeah, I laid it out, and it just kind of everything fell into place perfectly. Where yeah, I made 6 figures annually this year alone. I'm set up pretty much for life. And just everything I've learned. The GI Bill, I'm using that, of course. I'm using all the government grants. I'm going to school to fly helicopters. Uh,
And you
yeah.
love yourself.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then I just bought a rental property right by the school to rent out to college students. And
So you did all this in a year?
yeah, pretty much less than a year. And I think the hardest.
Didn't you manifest 6 figures plus too?
Yes. Yeah, I did. And yeah, it's everything it's still falling into place. It just opens up another. You kind of have that saying when you hear you know how the grass is the grass greener on the other side, or when like there's doors in life, and if you walk through it, you get special whatever. It's amazing things happen. It's not like that at all. It's you suddenly realize that you've been through the door and you're on the other side of the grass the entire time, and just we're too blind to even realize it. And then when you realize it and see it all around, then you're just like, wow. Then you can just move forward to any direction you want. And there's really no obstacles, because obstacles are needed, and you want it. You want the rough things to happen to you in life, because it strengthens you, and your weakness becomes your strength. Your vulnerability is a superpower. It really
Well
is.
said. Very well said. Well said. Excellent, enlightened perspective here from someone who's recently been through it. Your journey that you went on, I went on a decade ago, right? So it's like a distant memory at this point, but yours is fresh. And that's the amazing thing. You went from self-hate to hate others, to anger, to self-love, to loving others, to wanting to help others, to even being frustrated about trying to help others who didn't want your help, to getting out of the army, to getting into school, to buying an investment property, to manifesting north of 6 figures, and disability as well, all in a year, which is, or within somewhere around there, about a year, right? Which is pretty amazing to go on that journey and see so much internally and externally. So here's the question, Brian. So what's next?
So I'm not done yet. And the big thing is like the healing property. I'm like healing since I'm 100% disabled, just from being blown up.
Me too.
My hands and feet get numb, and just everything from I've been rocked and like a blown up, everything you can imagine that has happened to me.
Yes, sir.
And since all of this, I've been healing at like extraordinary rate of. So I'm going to continue on my health journey of mind, body, spirit. Also, I want, and I will get, I want multiple properties here in Cedar City where I'm at now. And I want to help people find affordable living, because this area, they say it's low income, but it's not. It costs $2,400 to rent a 2-bedroom house.
Yeah.
And that's renting. And that should be like somebody's mortgage. And houses are selling over here for $500,000, and there's no paint in it, and the inside's deteriorating. So there's no cheap cost of living here. So one of my goals is to accomplish that. Want to fly a helicopter within, so in 3 months I should be flying. So, but to be proficient at it, and that's where I'm at right now. Definitely.
So you found purpose, you found your calling, you found what you want to do. You want to own some investment properties. You want to give people homes to live in, good homes to live in, run by a good heart. You want to fly helicopters. You want to absorb the knowledge, and fundamentally you want to continue to help people, is what it sounds like.
Yes, 100%.
Aren't you writing a book too?
Oh, yes, I am. Yeah, I had a little break because I've been moving around to different places. I'm in a resort, and my friend Charlotte was kind enough to let me use her theater over here as a to talk, because my room ran out of Wi-Fi.
Good, because I've been yelling at you all year to do that fucking book.
No, I know, and I am. I rewrote it like 4 times, and the crazy part is, just from changing the transitioning of mindset, you want to rewrite it every like I'm at 80,000 words and I've rewrote it twice. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I gotta add this in now. So it's I I have made the decision to level out and just finish it. I'm not changing it anymore. So
Good.
and it's a little gritty, like rated R probably, because it's all stories of the military and crazy
Okay.
stuff that like
That's good. That's the good
yeah.
stuff.
No, it is the good stuff. It's just kind of a shocker, make people be like, wow. Like you see when a lot of people don't realize like the intense stuff that happens over there, and you come here, then people have other issues that are addressing, and just the understanding is not really understanding. I don't know the word
Yeah.
I was looking for.
Oh no, perception. Yeah.
Yeah, perception.
Dude, I mean, that I'm incredibly proud of the ground that you've covered, and it all started to reach out for help. And I know that there's more ground to be covered, and I will be on the journey with you. If you were to give anyone starting the journey or thinking about starting the journey, just one piece of advice to help them maybe reach out if they're struggling, or if they're struggling at the beginning of the journey, if you had one piece of advice for them, what would that be?
I thought about this, and then something else comes up every single time. The I would recommend complete surrender in yourself, and it's the hardest part is going to get past your self-centeredness because
Yeah.
it's been there. That's what made you.
Yep.
That's who you are right now, and just complete surrender and understanding, and just get a reliable teacher, and find someone reliable, and just surrender to the process. And the more you fight it, the harder it's going to be. And the most I've seen people do is they'll give like a 30% effort. They'll still continue to do their daily life, and then just kind of nudge this way. It's the only way to fast forward and move is just surrender to it all, and then build something new, and understand that we as humans go through life, we need a re-education. Like I even got a therapist on top of it to learn. He taught me one of the most important things is I didn't like when negative thoughts come up, I didn't know how to stop it. So out of the greatest thing I got from him was love and patience. And I would say it every time something, like I picked the two words that I wanted to excel at, and I said it every time, and it just kind of stopped it. And that's a roller coaster. Like you've helped me so much, and you know what I mean. And just like
he taught you to reframe it. I remember when he taught you that, because we were working one-on-one too, and you were like, "Hey, he taught me the same thing you did," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's reframing in psychology."
And it's something so simple. You learn like a universal truth out there, and you just absorb it from everywhere. It's awesome feeling.
Yo, dude, I'm so incredibly proud of you, and fundamentally, you've been to combat 3 times for this country, and you were down a really dark road, and you surrendered and reached out for help, and I'm honored that I've had the ability to mentor you and coach you. I take zero responsibility for the success that you've seen within yourself, internally or externally. However, I'm grateful that I've been given the opportunity to take that journey with you. And in addition to that, I am grateful for you being on the show today and sharing your story, which is powerful. If anybody wanted to get at you, Brian, is there any particular social media that they would find you on?
Facebook, Instagram, just Brian Sabatier, and that's how you can find me.
Brian Sabatier.
Yeah.
All right. Fine, guys. Make sure you check Brian Sabatier out on Facebook and Instagram. He's a really, really good dude, and he's got a lot to offer, and he could definitely help as well if you have questions about the journey. So, for today, that's a wrap. Excellent job, Brian. I say we do part 2 maybe next year when you have a few more properties and you're taking life by the balls even more. So, what do you say?
No, definitely, yeah. I get a little more airtime too, so I can fix my mic up.
Yeah, you did a great job. You'll have your own, you'll be in your house by that point next year, not in the middle of a move. So for today, thank you, my friends, and to everybody listening. I hope this offers some value by Brian telling his story. And if you have any questions for me in particular, you guys know how to reach out. You can find that in the show notes. We'll catch you next time.